I always used to think it was simple. Dinosaurs woke up one morning, a massive rock fell from the sky, and their story ended right there. Simple, sudden, a single moment. But a few of us who didn't buy into that, who believed something else must have happened, started digging into the actual records. And what we found was that almost none of that story holds up. 66 million years ago, a massive dynasty that had ruled for 165 million years was coming to an end. But here's the question we really needed to ask. Did that massive ending truly happen in a single day? Or had the dinosaurs already sensed that their downfall was underway? Paleontologists studying the fossil layers can see that some populations were already declining millions of years before the impact. So this wasn't a simple explosion. It was the final blow of a collapse that had been creeping in for a long time. The climate was shifting, slowly but surely. Vegetation was shrinking. Food chains were growing thinner and thinner. The asteroid simply delivered the final strike to a world that was already exhausted, already struggling to sustain its own life. And then came that tragic day, the day of the impact. This is where things get genuinely strange. Scientists believe that the pressure waves generated hours before the asteroid even entered the atmosphere may have been felt by certain animals, and they're conducting deep research into exactly this. Fossil trails belonging to small dinosaur species, the ancestors of modern birds, show signs of a mass migration beginning just before the impact. Do you think that's a coincidence? Or is it a moment where animal instinct was telling us something we still can't fully explain? If you're wondering how, just think about the videos of dogs and birds behaving strangely, sensing major earthquakes hours before they strike. I think you'll understand exactly what I mean. Every creature, humans included, is considered part of this world. So let me ask you this. If your leg hurts, do you feel that pain in your leg or in your brain? That's exactly where this whole story begins. I'm genuinely curious what you think about this connection between pain and perception, so let me know in the comments. Now, let's talk about the research that supports and proves all of this. The power of the impact. Think about it. Just how massive was this energy? And how well does that number actually capture the reality of it? When I looked into the fossil record, this is what genuinely stunned me. The energy released by the asteroid was millions, even billions of times greater than every nuclear weapon ever detonated in history combined. Now, picture this. The crater it left behind stretches 151 kilometers across, large enough to swallow an entire city the size of New York from end to end. This was one of the most massive blows and one of the most devastating events this planet has ever witnessed. The strike that ended the age of the giant dinosaurs. And here's the fascinating part. These aren't rough human guesses. They're calculations made by scientists working backward from the width of the crater itself to determine the exact amount of energy released.
The paleontological trace.
So, how do scientists actually know this all happened at once, in a single event? This is exactly where paleontological research offers something far more concrete. Buried in the same thin layer of soil found all across the entire planet is a rare element called iridium. It's almost non-existent here on Earth, but abundant in asteroids. Evolution and fossil science show us that this layer carries the trace of a catastrophe that struck every corner of the globe at the very same moment. And it's from clues like these that we come to believe this destruction was distributed evenly across the entire planet. Evolution's chosen ones. But here's what was truly shocking. Not every species that had roamed the Earth went extinct. The small ones, the ones that could burrow into the ground, the ones that could survive on almost nothing, they made it through. As we know, there are animals on this planet that can live underground for long stretches of time, surviving on the oxygen stored in their lungs without ever surfacing. This is one of the most striking lessons of evolutionary biology. Nature didn't choose the strongest. It chose the ones who could adapt. Every living creature you see today is, in a very real sense, carrying the legacy of the ancestors who managed to survive that day. The silent winter. Right after the impact, the sky began to darken. Suddenly, and rapidly, clouds of dust and sulfur blotted out the sun for days, then weeks, then months. During this dark chapter of Earth's history, plants could no longer photosynthesize, and the base of the food chain began to collapse, almost immediately. So the thing that actually killed the dinosaurs wasn't the fire or the shockwave. The real culprit was what came after, a silent, freezing winter. Sometimes what wipes out a species isn't a deafening explosion. It's a sky that collapses in complete silence. Think about it. We already know that animals act strangely when a hurricane is approaching. We see it happen today. Now imagine this. 66 million years ago, it wasn't the falling rock itself, but an invisible shift moving through the air that may have shaped the final moments of an entire species. All of this points to one thing. The end of the dinosaurs wasn't just an accident. It was a tragedy, written slowly, piece by piece. And one of the strangest heroes of that tragedy is a creature we still completely misunderstand: the T-Rex.